Hello everyone. Today I would like to speak about the topic podcasting. So let's start with its introduction. So what is it exactly? Podcasting is the preparation and distribution of audio files using RSS to the computers of subscribed users. These files may then be uploaded to digital music or multimedia players like the iPod. A podcast can be easily created from a digital audio file. The podcaster first saves the file as an MP3 and then uploads it to the website of a service provider. The MP3 file gets its own URL, which is inserted into an RSS XML document as an enclosure within an XML tag. Once a podcast has been created, it can be registered with content aggregators such as podcasting.net or iPodder.org, which you can search online for inclusion in podcast directories. People can browse through the categories or subscribe to specific podcast RSS feeds, which will download to their audio players automatically when they next connect. Although podcasts are generally audio files created for digital music players, the same technology can be used to prepare and transmit images, text, and video to any capable device. So let's talk about the overview in the last 10 years of this technology. Podcasting is a young and decentralized medium. Thus far, Apple has been its most influential actor, having celebrated 10 years of podcasts on its iTunes service in June 2015. During that span, Apple established many of the frontier's early boundaries, like branding the medium with its generic trademark iPod and Casting. Despite its dominance, iTunes does not house all of the world's podcasts. Some podcasters avoid iTunes or do not configure their shows for it. Apple also separates its iTunes store by countries, so many international podcasts are absent from the US store. Still, iTunes US was the best place to begin a sketch of the medium because its iPod directory was the largest at the time. Assuming podcast activity and launch rates are indicators, has been more popular than ever. However, most podcasts do not last more than 6 months before shutting down. In the context of time, podcasts have appeared to be getting longer and slightly more frequent. That's a rich topic for discussion, especially with the video games and philosophy edging out the other categories, which I would be explaining later in the presentation. And assuming language and explicitness are indicators, podcasts have become very culturally diverse. Most non-English podcasts may soon make up a quarter of all podcasts on iTunes US. And podcasts have also gotten more colorful with their content, as the explicit tags would suggest. Popularity so far since 2017, marketing and branding, that would be the first one. Since around 57 of the customers report that they avoid brands that bombard them with advertisements and other marketing messages. So podcast helps them master the art of subtle branding. As digital marketers, they're continuously reminded that storytelling is a vital instrument for consumer engagement. Through appropriate, enlightening, and valuable stories conveyed by evocative means, companies can connect with customers and develop a devoted audience. One way to interact with your audience is a corporate blog. However, maintaining an attention grabbing blog involves several SEO challenges, and there is a high probability that your potential customers become more aware of brand involvement. 2. Easy to consume and mobile friendly. Unlike blogs and videos, the beauty of podcasts lie in the fact that audio content can be more conveniently accessed on the go. It does not force users to abandon whatever they are doing just to concentrate wholly on a content. Whether they're working out or cooking, they can easily listen to your podcast. 3. Swift turnaround time. One of the reasons you should give podcasting a try is the quick turnaround time. Regardless of what audio software is used, the whole process of editing a podcast is very swift. 4. reflection of true brand personality. Along with offering value for customers, podcasts can also reflect a company's individuality and fundamental values. Rather than using written content for conveying what a brand stands for, it is more often convenient to do so by expressing it vocally. 5. Higher reach, which results in wider audience. So once a podcast is published on iTunes, Stitcher, or similar platforms, it's a company that exposes content to a broader audience at no cost. These platforms act as search engines that are used by individuals to look for podcasts along with popular songs. In this way, a brand receives the organic publicity that helps in snowballing its reach and growing its audience. Moreover, podcasts facilitate companies in developing a loyalty of an extensive range of consumers. Audience, Audiences generally subscribe to your podcast series and frequently listen to them. Furthermore, there is a high possibility that the listeners may endorse your podcast to their fellows, thereby growing a reach significantly. It can and ultimately lead enhanced traffic generation. 6. Fostering improved relationships with your customers. Although a podcast is a unidirectional platform, it can facilitate companies in developing better relationships with the customers. It makes your audience feel as if they recognize the individual talking on the podcast. The primary reason why individuals listen to podcasts is that they feel something mutual between the speaker and the company being represented by the speaker. Current innovation potential. One would be requiring more technology, requires more detailed analytics, right? This provides a strong foundation on which to build content that resonates and increases monetization. Two, it would be a new way of coming up with to connect the crowd. Television networks are taking on new podcast inspired formats and talent raising podcasting's profile. Voice activated speakers continue to spread widely, putting a critical mass tipping point within sight. Three would be monetization. Progress is steady, but with the continuing growth of brand podcasts and dynamic ad insertion, both direct response and now brand. Dynamic content insertion is getting off the ground, but expect to hear more topical content inserted into evergreen formats in the next year. Content sport podcast. ESPN's 30 for 30 series has demonstrated the power of applying narrative storytelling to sports, but sport bodies and broadcasters have now been slow to respond to these new opportunities. They have the tales and talents at their fingertips, plus the content hungry brands ready to fund it. I hope that the coming year or the coming future will see the long term narrative sport podcast get goals. So, podcasting according to the Gartner hype cycle. Now, as you can see in the diagram given, podcasting is right in the technology trigger line, and then you can actually see it coming up in 2 to 5 years. But I can really say that now, in this current Gartner hype cycle, which would be 2017 one, it hasn't been mentioned really, but I would really say that podcasting has come very far in terms of technology advancements. I really hoping that you really liked my presentation. Thank you for your time.